Alright, hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about scissors. If you're new to fly tying, you probably haven't learned this yet. If you've been at it for a while, you certainly have. But scissors are your most important tool. You have them in your hands all the time, you're constantly using them. And if you bought a fly tying kit as a beginner, the scissors that you got with the kit pretty sure aren't the best grade. And as you tie more, you'll really appreciate a finer quality pair of scissors. Now today I'm going to focus in on Dr. Slick line of scissors. There are other companies that make fly tying scissors. However, I like Dr. Slick personally for several reasons. First of all, they have the greatest variety of tying scissors out there. They use a very high grade of surgical steel. They're finished very, very well, and they're personally the scissors that I use the most. Now you might be surprised that I suggest that you own at least 3 pair of scissors. I know you're holding those ones you got from your fly tying kit and asking yourself, why can't I use them for everything? If you do use them for everything, you'll quickly dull them or spring the blades, and you'll find out that there are different scissors for different uses. We're going to start off with what I call the big 3. Your first pair of scissors should be a very fine-tipped pair of scissors with one blade serrated. The serration means that your scissor blades won't slip when you're cutting things like foam or thin skin or things like that. It's very aggravating when your scissors slip off. You don't get a good even cut. Fortunately, you have a lot of choices in a fine pointed pair of scissors. Now all the Dr. Slick line scissors are made out of 410 grade surgical steel, which is a very high quality steel. You may not know what the Rockwell hardness is, but these have a Rockwell hardness of 45. Any of you machinists will know that's a pretty hard steel. Now there are some exceptions to that, some even harder grade steel scissors that I'll talk about when we get to them. But like I say, with your fine tip scissors, you have a lot of choices. The micro tip scissors are straight bladed, come in a 3.5, a 4, and a 4.5 inch length. Personally, on all of my working scissors, I prefer a shorter blade. To me, it's just easier to get into tight spots when you're cutting off thread or those couple of stray hackle fibers than to have a long pair of unwieldy scissors. There is one exception to that, and I'll talk about it when we get to it. So the micro tip is an option. The iris scissors used to be really the only fine tip scissors you could buy, particularly if you knew a surgeon, because they all use these type of scissors, and they do have a very nice point to them. As you'll see when we get to my favorite pair of scissors, the razor scissors, that the razor scissors have an even finer point to them. But these are a good all-purpose fine pointed scissors if that's something you want to try. The price is very reasonable. The Prizm scissor is very much like the iris scissor, except that it's coated with titanium nitride. You've probably seen this coating on other metal products. And what it does is it hardens the surface of the steel. That way you get a little longer wearing out of them. And the Prizm scissors do, again, they come in a straight 3.5, 4, and 4.5 inch. Now the different sizes I'm mentioning on these different scissors, we may not have them all in stock here at East Rosebud Fly and Tackle, but we can certainly get them for you if you want them. Now my favorite pair of scissors, and you'll see the price is a little bit more, but what you're getting is you're getting a higher quality steel. This is a 440 grade stainless steel, and it has a Rockwell hardness of 55 versus 45 for the other scissors. These have, in my experience, the absolute finest points of any scissors on the market. They have adjustable tension knob here on the top. So as the scissors wear, you can adjust the tension. They have a stop here at the scissors bottom that's been precisely ground so that your tips close exactly perfectly. These are the scissors I have in my hands at all times. Another reason I like the Dr. Slick scissors, as you can see, is they have large loops on them. If you've been tying very long, you know the advantage of keeping scissors in your hands at all times. If the scissors have small loops, like a lot of sewing scissors do, it's an aggravation. You can't get them into your hand quickly. So the razor scissors, like I say, cost a little more than the others, but I feel that the wearing qualities, the precision of the point, the serrated blade, the harder steel, all make these more advantageous than any other fine pointed scissor. And then here's an interesting scissors. It's called the Japanese sewing scissor or a spring scissor. And it has very, very sharp points. It's a nice pair of scissors. For some reason, I can't get used to keeping them in my hand. I'm always dropping them. But if it's something you like, they're nice, lightweight. It'd be a good pair of travel scissors if you do bring your fly tying stuff with you. All right, now we've covered the fine scissors. Please do not use these scissors to cut things like synthetics, wire, anything like that. You'll quickly dull them or spring the scissor blades and you'll ruin them. This is where the other scissors come in. For example, one of the trilogy of the big three is just your all-purpose scissor. Chances are this is very much like what you got in your fly tying kit, although I doubt that the scissors in your kit are of hard steel like this or of the quality. And again, these have big loops. They come in a straight or curved blade, and they come in a 4-inch only. But for medium work with synthetics, with hair, things like that, these are your good all-purpose general scissors. Next, if you do much work with hair, whether it's deer, elk, anything, will very quickly dull your good scissors. Hair scissors have a much longer blade on them. And the nice thing about this is when you're trimming hair, like on a muddler minnow, or if you've tied a deer hair-bodied fly, you have a much longer reach on them, and it's much easier to keep your angles constant and to have the longer reach. So that's really the big three as far as what I would consider that you should always have on your tying bench. The fine point scissors for your delicate work, thread, hackle, your medium scissors for light synthetics, hair occasionally, and if you do a lot of work with hair, then hair scissors are very, very handy to have. And the hair scissors come in straight and curved blades, 4.5 inches. Now here's another scissor that I'm going to talk about. It's kind of a specialty scissor. It also can be used for hair, but it has a curved blade. So for shaping heads and things like that, it's very, very handy to have. It's not a necessity, but it has a shorter blade than the hair scissors and allows you to get into the corners a little bit particularly when you're curving rounded surfaces. Now let's talk about some of the specialty scissors. These are scissors you may not need. You can certainly do all of your tying with the 3 scissors I've talked about. But if you're tying heavier materials, particularly like some of the synthetics, I know the streamer guys really like to have a lot of synthetic materials in their flies. Here's something that if the regular scissors don't fit your hand, these are a curved scissor. Sits in your hand a little bit differently than the others. Also, if you don't like to carry your scissors in your hands, which you should, then if you lay these on the tabletop, they're easier to pick up than a pair of scissors that lays flat on a tabletop. So again, for some situations, bench shaft scissors might be the scissors that fit your hand the best. And talking about hand fit, there's another pair. It may look unusual to you at first, but once you get used to them, they're really quite nice. It's called a twisted loop scissor. And Dr. Slick offers these in the 3.5, 4.5 inch lengths, all straight blade. You'll see it has a very small head like the micro tip scissors, so it's good for fine work. Again, I would not use this for heavier materials, but it fits in your hand just a little bit differently than the other scissors do, but they're still very handy to get to. So when you buy scissors, that's one of the things that you should do is the scissors, try them in your hands, make sure that they fit for you. Another option for scissors, if these don't fit you, is what's called an open loop scissors. The difference in these, and these are a medium strength type of scissor. They're your medium duty type of scissor. But the difference is the loops are malleable. You can bend these out if you have very big fingers and the other scissors aren't comfortable. These can be bent to different shapes to adapt to your hand. And these come in just a straight and a 4-inch blade. Again, another specialty scissor. Now if you do, pardon me, this is another open loop. If you've gone to the barber and you have long hair, they probably used thinning scissors on your hair before. And the streamer tires are finding these very useful for tapering things like all the different hair products, the different flash products. The blades will allow you to get a nice taper as you flow down through your streamers. So if you tie a lot of streamers, that's certainly something to consider. A pair of scissors that I feel is not optional, required if you cut much wire or anything like that. These are actually made out of tungsten carbide. They are virtually unbreakable. They virtually cannot be dulled. They have a Rockwell hardness of 55, just like their top of the line razor scissors. And you can safely cut any wire, whether it's the ultra wire, whether it's lead wire, anything you want to cut with these. And of course the synthetics are impervious to these type of scissors. So if you do much work with wire and things like that, I strongly suggest, chances are you're only going to use one pair of these in your lifetime. Again, they're very, very strong scissors. Then we're going to get into some of the really heavy work type of scissors. If you use much GSP thread or Kevlar thread, you'll find that it can be very, very difficult to cut with your regular scissors. And I certainly wouldn't use your fine scissors to cut those threads. It'll dull it pretty quickly. These are called finishing scissors. They actually have razor blades in the points. And it's very easy to cut those tough threads. It also fits in your hand nice. A lot of people like these for their all-around tying scissors. They're all very sharp and they do come to a nice fine point. So you can trim from the smallest items up to, I would say, moderate amounts of synthetic materials. And synthetic materials are very hard on scissors. And if you're going to be doing a lot of work with synthetic materials, then I would advise a pair of scissors like this. These scissors are made for very, very heavy duty. Whether you're cutting bunny strips, leather, large quantity of synthetic materials, they have nice, large, comfortable loops on them, and they're very, very powerful. You can see how thick the blades are. So for synthetic work, please spare your good scissors and use something like this instead for the heavy stuff. You'll thank yourself and your scissors in the end. Then lastly, if you're really working with a lot of big things, this is called the preparation scissors. And really for cutting long hanks of things into the right lengths that you want. They actually have a wire cutter built into the handle. I don't know if there's anything in fly tying that you can't cut with these scissors. They're that strong. And I also wanted to mention that Dr. Slick also offers, in some sizes and models, what they call their Eco line. The Eco line does not have the gold loops like the other premium scissors do. They do have a better price point, and they're offered in the hair, all-purpose, and the arrow scissors. So if you're on a budget but you still want a good pair of scissors, then I suggest you look at the Eco line. All right, thank you so much.